Let's roast Nicole now.
When you are graphing inequalities, there's some things you need to remember. It's the same thing that we've been doing. You're graphing a line, slope-intercept form, graph your y-intercept, and then graph your slope, right?
Is that
Now,
extra credit?
couple of things you need to remember. When you have a greater than sign or greater than equal to sign, you're going to shade above, right? You shade above. When you have less than or less than equal to, you shade below. Hopefully you remember that. Greater than you shade above, less than you shade below.
Or write it down, just in case.
Good. Another thing you need to remember is if the line's dashed or solid. Remember which one's dashed and which one's solid?
Oh, the dash
You
is
fill in
the
the solid and you fill it in.
Right. When you have just greater than or less than, it's dashed because you're not including the line. It's just greater than that line or less than that line. When you have less than or equal to, you're including all the points on the line, so then it's solid. Okay? That's the only difference from graphing a line to graphing inequality is those things there. And if you're putting in slope-intercept form, if I'm dividing by a negative, what do I have to do with the inequality?
Flip it.
Flip it. Don't forget that huge rule. Whenever you divide by a negative, you need to flip the sign. That partakes in this lesson.
What's
Okay.
inequality?
This is an inequality. Less than, greater than.
Oh.
These are inequality signs.
When you divide by-
Equalities is what we've been doing. Equal signs. When you divide or multiply by a negative. Okay. Let's do some examples.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, boss.
Here's a good one that I like to give students because they always get tricked up a little bit. I want to graph y is less than x. Okay? So what I'm graphing basically is y equals x. How do I graph x?
The line X,
What's my y-intercept?
the one up and down.
The origin, right? Because this is really plus 0. So I start at the origin 0. What's the number in front of x? 1. So my slope is up 1 over 1. Now, the new part, is this going to be dashed or solid? Dashed, because it's less than. Very good. You still need some arrows indicating moving forever. And since it's less than, am I going to shade above or below?
Below.
Below, less than. So it looks like that. So you're just graphing a line again and then following those two rules. So number 2 is the exact same thing. You should notice exact same line, right? It's x, so you're graphing it the same. But in this case, I have greater than or equal to. So let's graph that line again. You start at the origin, up 1 over 1, because it's a 1, so 1 over 1. And is this line going to be dashed or solid?
Solid.
Solid, because it's greater than or equal to. That means you're equaling to the line. And this is greater than, so am I shading above or below?
Above.
Good.
I always hated these when I got them wrong. You have to erase all this stuff.
So then another way you can do this is, of course, with horizontal and vertical lines. So let's look at a couple of those examples. When I have y to a number, is that vertical or horizontal? When I have y equals 2, horizontal, yep. So I'm going to go y equals 2. Is this going to be dashed or solid? Dashed, because it's just a greater than. Okay. So horizontal line at 2. And since it's greater than, am I going to shade above or below?
Above.
And if it's a vertical line, if it's less than, would it be left?
Mm-hmm. So good question. Vertical lines, there is no above or below. Right? When I have an x equals 2, that's a vertical line at 2. This would be solid because it's less than or equal to. And there is no above below. So you have to think less than, do I go to the left and get smaller or go to the right and get smaller? Right. When I go to the left, when I go to the left, that's smaller, that's less than. Okay. Yep, less than, x is less than 2, so which way is less than 2? To the left, right? When I want to go smaller than
I
2.
just want
It's like the
to
same way
Yes. Yep, you could do it the way the arrow points.
You?
And then, of course, it won't always be in slope-intercept form for you, so you're going to have to put it in slope-intercept form. So remember the 2 steps I told you? Move the x term, divide by the number in front of y. Those are the 2 steps. And you can see the x term is already moved, so I'm good there. So now I need to divide by the number in front of y. So I'm dividing by a -2. And what happens when I divide by a negative number?
It flips.
The sign's gonna flip. Don't forget that. When I have a -1 over a -2, that's a +1/2. -2 divided by -2 is a +1.
1.
So be careful when you're simplifying there. How do I graph it? The y-intercept's first, so I go up 1. Then I do the slope. Slope's positive, so I'll go up 1, right 2.
Number 7 doesn't have an inequality sign. I just thought I'd tell you that.
Yeah, we'll get there. And then is this going to be dashed or solid?
Solid.
Solid, very good. And am I going to graph above or below? It's greater than, so above.
Carmen, I don't understand how you solve it. I just wrote it down.
You get y by itself.
On this last one, let's just put it greater than 0, right? Because I must have gotten cut off on the notes, greater than 0. What would be the fastest, easiest way to put this in slope-intercept form? Does anyone see it? Just move the y. Very good. If all of my terms are on one side and I just need y by itself, I would just add the y over. Right? So then I have this. Now, if you wanted to flip this around because you're used to the y being on the left side, you can switch it around, but see how the arrow's pointing towards the y?
Yeah.
If you flip it around, the arrow still has to be pointing towards the y. Okay, so if you flip the equation around, you also have to flip the inequality around. Don't forget that. Or if you left it like this, you would still have to know that this is a less than, because you always read it from the y's point of view. Okay, so be careful on those when they're backwards.
So you shoot down and then stop.
Very good. This would be my y-intercept, so down 1. This would be my slope. I can put any number over 1. So this would be down 2, right 1. And right, it's dashed. And it's less than, so I shade below. Good.
One time Mr. Mark threw an eraser at Derek. You should stand on the
All right, when you're going backwards now, right? You think it's going to be super hard. It's not, don't worry. Because start with a Y, and then look at your line and shading. What kind of inequality am I going to have? Did I shade above or below?
Less than or equal to.
Right, this would be greater than, this would be less than. So the less than part is shaded. Is my line solid or dashed?
Solid.
So this is going to be a less than or equal to, because it's shaded below and it's a solid line. Now, slope-intercept form, I need a slope and a y-intercept. Let's start with the easy one. Y-intercept is 4. Okay, but then I also need a slope, so pick another good point. And I'm going to go up 2, right
Well, doesn't
1.
that 2x tell you that?
Yeah, either one. Oh. Okay. So let's try another one. Start with the y.
Positive 2x?
It's uphill. Uphill slope is a positive, right? Downhill is a negative.
Did you also start at 2? Like negative 2 and then.
No, your y-intercept is 4. Or what do you mean?
Bro.
You can pick any 2 points to find a slope. It doesn't have to be those. You could have picked this one and this one, and it still would have been up 2 over 1. Any 2 points would give you a slope. Okay. So look at this one. I'm shading above, and it's a dashed line. What kind of sign is that going to be?
Greater than.
Greater than, just greater than, because it's a dashed line. And then what do I need? I need a slope and a y-intercept. What's my y-intercept? -2 right here. And then I need a slope, so pick another point, maybe at -3 here.
Yeah,
So what am I doing? I'm going down 2,
over 3.
right 3. So down 2, that's a -2. Right 3 is positive. And there's my equation. Let's try a couple more. Yeah.
Let's try this on wrong.
Okay, so let's do a couple more. So we'll start with my y. What sign is this going to be? It's shaded above and my line is solid. So what does that mean?
Greater than or equal to.
Greater than or equal to. Very good. What's my y-intercept?
-2.
-2. Very good. So I have a -2. Pick another point like maybe this one.
Okay.
And I would go down 2, right 3. Down 2 is a -2. Right 3 is a +3. And there's my equation.
Can we try the next one up?
All right, what'd you get? Hopefully you did less than equal to. That's not less than. Less than equal to, right? And I had a -1, good. And then another point would have been there. So up 3 over 1. So 3x.